Well then.
Yo.
Hmm?
Hey. Huh.
Hey, hey! Okay. My fellow thieves, welcome to our new hideout. Our target this time is Madarame. We all saw that palace. We'll pay dearly if we assume it's just going to be like the last one. And furthermore, Lady An's chastity is on the line.
What?
We'll need to do what we did with Kamoshida. First, we secure an infiltration route in the palace. After that, we send our calling card. Once the treasure has materialized, we steal it.
Oh, I got a question. Madarame doesn't know that we were doing stuff in the palace yet? Why are we already getting treated like criminals in there?
You're learning, Ryuji. Well done. It must be because he doesn't trust anyone. Any unknown person may as well be an enemy.
Or maybe he's just super salty from all those rumors that have been spreading about him.
Then his palace being so crazy had nothing to do with us?
Either way, we should stay on our best behavior. It'll be harder for us to steal the treasure if we needlessly increase the security level.
We need to be careful of Kitagawa-kun this time too. I'm sure that whatever he sees will just get passed on to Madarame.
That's right.
Hey, what is Madarame's treasure going to look like anyway? Another crown?
I doubt that, but my sixth sense will know when I see it.
Oh yeah, you go completely nuts, huh?
Our time limit is when the exhibit ends, right? That means June 5th.
We'll carry out the plan after we've sent out the calling card. So our infiltration route will need to be set in stone 2 days prior on June 2nd.
Now listen here. We can't mess this up, no matter what, okay?
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
let's start our strategy meeting.
That's it for that meeting.
Huh?
Hello and welcome back to my Let's Play of Persona 5 New Game Plus. And fear not, for even though we have just left the opportunity to immediately go into the palace, we will be going into Madarame's Palace today in this episode. And we're going to make pretty decent progress, which is always a good sign. It's always good to get really into the thick of things with regards to the palaces, and as I mentioned in the last episode, we're going to be zipping through Madarame's Palace pretty quickly because we want to unlock the Temperance Confidant link as fast as possible because it has a really good benefit for us once we get it to all the way up to rank 10. Okay, so as we collect stock up as usual, we can talk about some of the other things that are going to be going on just at this time. So I had initially planned for these palace episodes to be time for me to talk about stuff like the social stuff like the social skills.
Please head to the exam room.
So your parameters, the social parameters like guts and
Which
all of
one?
that sort of stuff. Guts, knowledge, proficiency, etc. And also I was
Why do you
thinking
have
it would
such a
be a good time
serious
to talk
look on
about
your
the our confidants and the sort of confidant storylines and just sort of things along those lines. And whilst that is definitely something we are going to be doing at points, it's not something that I think it's actually probably better suited to a Mementos episode where really a lot of that is just going to be going through the dungeon and grinding. We're going to be wanting to spend a lot of time in Mementos just for the opportunity to use those days as grinding days to get our levels up. And also to obviously complete a lot of the Mementos missions. And so with that in mind, we're going to, there's going to be a lot of combat in those episodes and just giving me a lot of time to sort of go through some of the finer details with regards to the games. Hey. So with that in mind, if you see, I'm sending out the message now that as we go on with this, if you're looking towards the Mementos episodes, those particular episodes are going to be largely focused on discussing things like social link stats and confidant links and that sort of stuff.
Sounds good.
Okay, so with that in mind, today we're going to talk a bit about Madarame's Palace, how it's structured, because it's slightly different to Kamoshida's Palace in that regard. And we're also going to start a new confidant link, which is always good fun.
Which one?
And yeah, start making some more progress. So with that in mind, I'm going to fast forward up to the entrance to the palace, and I will talk to you then.
That's good. Roger. Okay, come on. Okay.
Now then.
So we are here at the start of Madarame's Palace, and as I said, we are now going to quickly pop into Igor to start a new confidant link, a particularly useful confidant link as well. The reason, so we don't actually need to fuse any more personas. We've sort of got the best ones that we can have at this level. But yeah, we will start the Strength Confidant link today.
Now.
Listen Listen up, inmate. Farewell. Oh. Hmm? It seems you brought the specified persona. Huh. Fine, I'll take it. By the way, your personas are super weak. Not that I'm surprised, inmate. Though I guess you deserve at least some praise for finishing your penal labor. You might actually complete your rehabilitation. In order to promote that process, we would like to offer you the use of a new facility. It's rare to see you smile, Justine. You are the smiling one, Caroline. Did something happen to make you so joyful? Me? Hey! Are you laughing at us? Know your place, inmate! As wardens, we simply feel satisfaction in seeing your rehabilitation progress. That is the extent of it. I find it upsetting that you would see such a matter as a source of amusement. It's like you forget where you are, inmate. You've got some real guts, though. With that spirit, you should have no trouble making progress. Very well, then. If you have the will to continue your penal labor, we can grant you greater freedom within this prison. It is a deal between us, the wardens, and you, the inmate. Not like you have the right to turn it down, though. Hard work is what you're meant to do, inmate. I am thou. Thou art I. Thou hast acquired a new vow. It shall become the wings of rebellion that breaketh thy chains of captivity. With the birth of the strength persona, I have obtained the winds of blessing that shall lead to freedom and new power.
All right.
Now, it's time for your next task. Farewell. Hey.
So as we can see, the Strength Confidant link is largely based around talking to Caroline and Justine. They give us a particular persona with a particular skill that they want, and that's what we're going, and then our task is to make that happen, to get access to that persona with that skill and show it to them, and in return they're going to offer us a lot of really useful things. So the first one we've already seen is group executions, which gives us access to a whole load of new and interesting persona. You can see a whole load here. All of these aren't initially unlocked from the start. I believe access to some of them are unlocked via Mementos missions, or via Confidant links and stuff like that. So yeah, so there's a fair amount of depth with regards to what they offer. They also give you really strong access to other types of strengthening your personas, I believe. This is one of the Confidant links that I did not prioritize in my first playthrough, so mainly because I didn't want to overload myself with how many of the persona that I've already seen. So what's nice is that from now on, I'm going to start seeing, aside from the personas that are obviously as shadows in the palaces, there's going to be a lot of fusions of new persona that I've never seen before, and that's going to be really fun for me. I'm very much looking forward to it. So we're here, as we make our way back to the start of Madarame's sort of that entrance section, we're going to have a lot more combat here, and as I've mentioned before, most of the enemies that we'll see here are personas that we've already fused, and so already know the weaknesses of.
I can feel it.
Whoa!
So Madarame's Palace, in this regard, is actually one of, at least this first section of Madarame's Palace is definitely one of the easier sections in the game, I've found. Most of the enemies here, as I've said, we already know the weaknesses for at least, or they don't really pose a lot of problems to us. And also, pretty much all of their weaknesses tie up to a skill that we already have. So these McCoys are weak to wind. Most of the ice personas that we see are weak to fire or electricity. The other rare personas who might not be weak to those are usually weak to gun. So there's really no persona here that actually causes us a lot of trouble. The biggest threat, I would say, is probably the Onmoraki that we're going to see, or Onmoraki, I don't quite know, but we'll see those later on, and the only reason that they're a bit more challenging is because they've got quite a lot more defense, so they often will take multiple all-out attacks to take down. And also, they have, if I remember correctly, they have insta-kill attacks, and insta-kill attacks are never fun in this game. They can be a right pain to deal with. So that's something just, you know, they're weak to guns, so they're not too difficult, especially if you get an ambush. But yeah, they just take a little bit more effort than the other enemies around here. But generally, really, there's nothing too difficult in this first visit to the palace. And I say that because Madarame's Palace, as I said before, is structured differently to Kamoshida's. It's a palace which you are forced to enter multiple times because the way the palace is structured is that there is a roadblock which you then need to go back into the real world to affect and change that roadblock from, you know, blocking your path. And that means that in order just to, the process from, you know, this first day where we actually have access to the whole palace, so the 18th, and the day that you're eventually able to take down Madarame, you've got to have a day of, you know, this first day of palace, an extra day to deal with the roadblock, then you have the palace past the roadblock, which is pretty much the second half of the palace. You'll notice that this episode is not that long because, again, it's only really dealing with half the palace. And then beyond that, you've then obviously got sending the calling card and then dealing with Madarame and stuff. So it would take 5 days if you were going absolutely hell for leather to try and finish it. And we are pretty much doing that, although we'll insert another day in between just because we can, and we might as well. Okay, so there's a few more interesting. Again, we're sort of still in we're past the main tutorial, but there are still mechanics to the game that we're going to be introduced to throughout this particular palace. And so, with that in mind, I'm gonna set this fast forwarding, and I'll come back when we're introduced to something new that we can talk a bit more about at that time.
Something else.
Nice going, Skull.
That's all she wrote. Okay.
Huh? That was a little too easy.
See it. I'll reveal your true form.
Persona! You see the weakness!
Bravo! Persona! Come on, you're mine.
Looking cool, Joker!
Go down!
Looking cool, Joker! Okay, guys, Persona! It's almost scary how good I am. It's almost scary how good I am. This'll end Game over.
Okay,
That enemy was really weak.
focus. I can feel it. It's somewhere. I'll reveal your true form.
The first move is ours!
Come! Jack Frost! You're mine!
We're all knocked down! That was a whole Joker! This'll end it!
Okay. Easy win! They were nothing. I'll reveal your true form.
The first move is ours!
Come on! Grab it, Chuck!
Looking cool, Joker!
There!
Looking cool, Joker!
Let's go!
Finish up! Win it, I'm strong! Girl, show your might! Your skill! Okay, guys, let's go! Game over!
Alright. Shadow defeated! That was easy, huh?
Hey,
I can see it. Focus. I can feel it. Alright, looks like this place is safe.
Well,
Hey,
what are your thoughts?
let's go. Okay, let's go.
Treasure chest spotted. Must be something.
I'll reveal your true form.
Alright, the first move is ours! Yes, marvelous! Turn it!
Yeah, let's go!
Not over yet! Dance on it! See that again, Panther? Okay, guys, let's go! Beautiful Rose has thorns.
Okay,
That enemy was really weak.
I'll reveal your true form.
Now's our chance to strike! Go!
It's time. Jack Frost, go now!
Great move, Joker! Still not flat!
Do it!
Not over yet!
Persona! Let's go, Captain!
Let's go!
Alright,
This'll end it!
still come back! I leveled up. Okay. Ah, piece of cake! I'll reveal your true form.
Alright, the first move is ours! Cool! Looking cool, Joker! This is a holdup!
Do it!
Okay, guys, let's go! Late for the cat! Defeat it! Go, get him up! More!
Serves
You're
you
the
right.
best, Ranger! Finish up! Second best!
Okay.
Oh, an impressive skill!
Alright. Show me your true form.
Now's our chance to strike! Now!
Persona!
Let's go! Alright, that's the time to Persona! See that again, Panther? Let's get it! Finish up! Second best! Fits me like a glove. Check out his this next time.
Okay. Man, that was easy.
Treasure chest spotted.
Show me your true form.
Alright, the first one's ours. It's almost scary how good I am. Out for this. See that again, Panther?
Serves you right.
Okay, guys, let's do it!
What?
Only one more. Attack!
Alright. Somewhere.
Didn't even break a sweat.
Whoa!
Wait!
Come on.
Okay, so we have a scripted event here, which has led to Morgana being separated, so the whole group pretty much being separated from Joker. There are battles in this section. They're largely tougher than the other ones that you deal with because you do not have your party members. Or if you do have party members, you usually will only have 2 or 3, as opposed to your usual set of 4. And that can be just a little stressful in terms of making sure that you're not making errors. Most of the enemies in this section are these Huapo, which are weak to gun, which means you can almost always knock them down. But because we're on the higher difficulties, I needed to really make sure that I didn't have a persona that was weak to fire. Because they use fire skills, and if I get knocked down, it's pretty much game over at this point. Now there's a second battle here that I do show that you don't need to do because it's optional. Essentially there's a trick button that they want you to press to trigger a battle, whereas the true button to continue the story is located elsewhere. But I do show that battle, and that one can actually be pretty tough with all 3 Huapo. There you do just need to balance how you're taking them out and just thinking it through a little bit more than maybe a short battle like that you might initially think would take. But other than that, there is a reason to this whole section, and that's because we're going to be introducing a brand new type of enemy that ends up proving particularly useful throughout the rest of the game.
Looking cool, Joker! Not over yet! See that again, Joker? This is the holdup! Finish up!
Alright.
Well, that's that. Now let's hurry on!
Is this...
Yeah! Sorry. Whoa!
Wait!
As I was saying, there's something suspicious. Yeah! No.
Hey!
I'll reveal your true form.
Now's our chance to strike! Go! See that again, Panther?
I got this!
Persona!
Epic kill!
Go!
Serves you right!
Okay, guys, let's do it! 2 balls left! Attack!
Nice!
A spectacular...
Okay. Easy win! They were nothing.
Wait!
Yeah!
Nice! Sorry. Wait!
Okay, so here we're going to get our first interaction with a treasure demon, and these will be slightly explained later on. You usually come across maybe one or two of these in most of your palace runs. Apparently they appear more frequently if you have high security level. I've never really tested that, because it's actually moderately difficult to keep your security level high if you're trying to also get ambushes, and especially on this difficulty, given that the enemies hit so hard, you do not want to be giving them free turns, and so you're pretty much going for ambushes every single time. So this is a Regent, and they're particularly annoying because they don't have any weaknesses that we don't have any access to the skills that they're weak to. They're weak to psi skills and to nuclear skills. So the best way for us to deal with this at the moment is just to try and spam Lucky Punch with Morgana and hope that we get the crit. And if we do get that, that's excellent, because we don't need to actually converse with these guys to get them into our party. And these sort of treasure demons, the reason they're called treasure demons, they're especially useful to us. If you beat them in battle, you get a huge amount of money and XP. If you fuse them, you can transfer a huge amount of very useful skills to a persona. And so they're really useful in a lot of ways, and we're going to be using them throughout the rest of this playthrough.
Yes!
So with the treasure demon captured, that I think is going to be it from me for this episode. The rest of it is pretty much just bog standard palace gameplay, so I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode, and I hope you'll join me on the next, where we'll be continuing this palace.
Show me your true form.
Alright, the first move is on! Ooh, looking cool, Joker! Alright, pass the baton and follow up! Thank you!
Sorry. Persona!
Let's go! This is the whole...
Hey!
This'll let
She'll come back. Okay.
another tool for our mission.
Okay.
That enemy was really weak. Cut out! The cognition here is... Well...
Well,
What are your thoughts? Shall we go? All right, let's go. We still have work to do.
I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. Focus. I can see it. All right, a chest! Joker, it's a treasure chest! I can see it. Focus.
Let's do it! Looking cool, Joker! Not over yet!
Persona!
Let's go! This is the whole thing! Okay, guys, let's do it!
Slam! Okay,
That was so easy, I'm yawning.
focus. Spotted shot. I'll reveal your true form.
Now our chance to strike! Go! Cool! Looking cool, Joker!
Go!
Alright, pass the baton and follow up!
Hey! Persona!
You're getting stronger! Don't move now!
Tear them apart!
Okay, guys, let's do it!
That's all she wrote! Okay,
That was so easy, I'm yawning.
I can feel it. It's somewhere. true form! Just stay there!
Finish up! Your rose has thorns.
Okay,
They were nothing.
show me your true form!
Now their kids destroy. Go! Link to the head! Persona! Looking good, Panther! 2 balls on the ground! That's not over yet!
With the persona!
We need to beat it!
Just
Go,
stay
get
there!
more! Okay, guys.
Show them back! I leveled up. Okay,
That's all it takes for me. My boat! Just hang in there! Not over yet! Get, Panther! Another con pass! Get, Skull! Let's keep pushing!
just stay there!
Time for reflection! Okay, guys. Let's go! Clean up, complete!
Check out this new skill! Okay,
Didn't even break a sweat!
somewhere.
Hey,
This is... Yes!
I can feel it. Whoa!
hey.
What?
Yeah!
Huh?
Let's head back. The cognition here is weak. There may be a safe room nearby.
This is a nice spot for a safe room.
Well... What are your thoughts? Well,
Come on, man.
How are we supposed to get past that door?
I don't know. You think there's some kind of off switch somewhere?
looks like this is where I come in.
Mona?
I have a suspicious place in mind. Remember? This shack is the basis for Madarame's palace. I actually scouted it out the last time we were here.
Whoa. So this was your plan from the start?
Correct.
You only went scouting because you were bored.
So? Where's this suspicious place?
It's on the second floor. I noticed an unnaturally hefty lock on a door up there.
If it's locked, that means there's something in there he doesn't want people to see.
But don't we want to be opening the door in the palace?
Yes. And we're going to do that by opening the real one in front of Madarame's eyes. Basically, we're going to change his cognition that the door is unopenable.
In other words, when we open the one in Madarame's house, that area in his palace will open on its own?
I'm not really getting it. Is that gonna work?
Trust me, there's no chance it won't open. I think. You understand, don't you, Joker?
Well, yeah, but...
Why don't you trust me? It's worth a try.
But even then, there's still that hefty lock we have to deal with in reality, right?
That'll be a breeze. Just give me a hairpin and I'll handle it. It will take some time, though. Doing everything by myself in front of Madarame would be impossible. If only there was someone who could distract him for a while.
Huh?
Oh. Man, how are we even gonna get into his house? We'd get reported for sure if we force ourselves in.
What?
I guess the only way is having you go nude.
What?
Fancy you say that, Ryuji. I was just thinking the same thing.
This isn't funny!
We're not saying you should really get naked.
It's simply the best excuse for you to enter Madarame's house without raising suspicions. So we'd like for you to play the role of decoy, Lady Ann.
This is way too sudden! I mean, I don't even know where the locked door is!
Don't worry, I'll accompany you.
But that's still technically only me! Worst comes to worst, what if I get found out?
We can run into the palace. Or something.
Is that really gonna work? I mean, you're not giving me much confidence in this plan. Do I have to be the bait? Why can't one of you guys go nude?
It ain't what he wants.
Then make it so he does!
All you gotta do is trick Yusuke, have him take you to that room, then just open the door.
You make it sound so easy. But if there's no other way, I don't have a choice. God! Fine, I'll do it. For justice. Seriously, you better pull this off.
If it's for your sake, Lady Ann, I won't stop scratching even if all my claws were to break.
We'll be counting on you, Morgana. Don't let Yusuke notice you, alright?
If he tries to force my clothes off, I'll tear that house down. I'm really gonna lose it if we do all this and the palace door doesn't open. Got it?
We're working to get dirt on that guy's crimes either way. It won't go to waste. Alright, let's get down and dirty tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Earlier the better.
But, will Kitagawa-kun agree?
I don't know, just say something like, I really need it to be tomorrow. That should work, yeah?
Okay. Now then.
Searching all along, confessing while alone, without a clue, without a sign, without grasping it. The real question to be asked: where have I been? I'm a chef, I post masquerade. Hiding both